Coach Harrod, another big weekend for Indiana volleyball. You guys coming off of a tournament last week. You got another one coming in, but this week the competition level really kicking up. You're going to some Power 5 schools with Oklahoma, Oregon State, and even Yale, who's also very successful.
Yeah, big weekend. As we were mentioning earlier, it's one of the first times in a long time that Indiana volleyball is bringing in Power 5 teams in the preseason to play. So obviously an excellent Oregon State team plays in the Pac-12, which is one of the better conferences in the country. Oklahoma, the Sooners are good and great coaching staff, really good team. Be a very, very difficult match. And then Yale perennially is in the mix to win the Ivy League. Their RPI is always excellent. A lot of really, really good kids. A lot of California kids that they recruit that can play the game and know what's up. So it's a fun, challenging, tough weekend for us.
How important is it to you, to what you're trying to do here, to bring in this level of competition this early in the season?
Yeah, it's important. I think the Big Ten's not going anywhere. So the goal is to try to get as good as we can. And I think if you play a really soft preseason schedule, there's a false confidence about it. And we'll take our lumps here and there with 9 new kids and starting some freshmen and a bunch of new pieces. But I think it's important that we try to play quality teams and having the opportunity for our community and students and everyone to see really, really good volleyball teams play in the preseason before the Big Ten, I think is a huge deal.
Obviously, the ultimate goal is to win the matches. What else are you trying to get out of this for the team, for the players individually?
Well, we're still trying to figure out a lineup. We're 4 matches into the season. We had 2 weeks in preseason to try to figure stuff out with 9 new bodies. So moving stuff around, I would expect us to show some different looks this weekend and keep working on what we might want to get to and try to find the best lineup so we have some continuity well before we head into the Big Ten.
Going back to last week, you guys had a tournament, went 3-1 over the weekend. Talk about what came out of that. Obviously, there was a loss, but also 3 wins. So a big weekend.
Yeah, always good to start off positively. I think 3-1 we'll take. We played some good teams, 4 matches, 4 different lineups. First time that our freshmen got into matches and got to play in front of crowds, and moving some of the kids that we brought in, trying some people at different positions. So on the whole, you want to win every match you play, but we learned a lot. We got a lot of data. Got to spend some time this week in practice really working on fine-tuning a few things. And, experience is something you get after you needed it. So we're a lot better than we were a week ago, and sometimes you got to go through it to feel it.
We were talking about football earlier, and last week, Indiana, the big talk is the improvement from weeks 1 to week 2 on the football field. How is it for volleyball? Is it the same type of timeline?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of the preseason teams that we play, if we get a crack at them in October, November, after we've had a couple months under our belt, we'd be a lot tougher to play. But everyone's in the same boat. Everyone has the same duration for preseason. And I think that one of the hallmarks of the teams that I've coached and been part of is that they keep getting better all year. We're playing our best ball at the end of the year. But there is something to knowing who you're playing beside and with, learning tendencies of the people that you're playing with, what people do well, what they need help with. General communication stuff, how people talk on the court. I mean, it's the same thing as any other sport. It's going to take time.
And just like, again, using football as an example, throwing the passes, the timing, getting all down, setting, bumping, all that stuff, to whom you're using. Is that what you mean?
It's identical. Yeah. So, you want to be, it's like running a 10-yard out. If you run a 7-yard out, you're in trouble. If it's 12-yard out, you're in trouble. It's the same thing with us. We want to set balls at a specific tempo in specific zones. Setters got to get reps so they feel good about it. The hitters got to work with the setter so they feel good about that. Defensively, one person being out of position kind of throws everything off defensively, and that just takes time and reps and practice. And luckily we had a really good week of that, so I feel good going into this weekend.
If we wanted to make it simplistic, just bumps that spike, but I know it's a way more than that. Going against a team like Oklahoma or Oregon State, are there differences in playing those teams?
No doubt. So every team has a different style, different systems. Some teams have one person who's setting the ball every second touch. Other teams have 2 setters and they'll play. They're a little bit more physical. Some teams have elite players, top 10, 15 players in the country you got to really worry about. Other teams are great defensively. Santa Clara, who we played this past weekend, was an exceptional serving team. They put a ton of pressure on us from the end line and made it challenging as we were receiving serve with a bunch of kids in their first college action. So there's a lot of different stylistic deals when we play these 3 matches over a couple days or 4 matches over 2 days like we did. You've got to make adjustments really, really quickly. And that's when it helps to have a really upper class team or team you've trained for a number of years so everyone's on the same page. We don't have that luxury right now, and that's just the reality of where we are. But still feel good about what we did and what we're doing.
And like other sports, it's offense and defense. I know you talked about approaching these teams different offensively or defensively. How do you approach them differently offensively?
Well, some of it is matchups. It's something as simplistic as if they've got a 6'5" kid at the net, you probably don't want to run sets straight into her and trap kids where there's nothing you can do. And if they have undersized players at the net, you can run patterns and do different things to kind of open up. It's the same as anything else. You try to find your best players and get them an opportunity to play against the opponent's weaker players at certain positions, and then where you hit the ball. Some people are elite defensively and they're great at digging the ball, and some people just aren't as good. So you got to be mindful of all of that. And in our sport, it's kind of hot potato. There's not a lot of time to think. You got to get rid of the ball. And be really quick on your feet in a small space with 6 people. So it's what makes it fast and entertaining for people to watch. There's a point every play, and that's why the fans love it, and that's why the sport's growing, and we're excited.
Absolutely. The schedule's been jostled around a little bit. Football got moved because of television, which has affected you guys. What's the schedule going to be like this weekend?
So we're going to play 10 o'clock Friday morning against Oregon State. We play 7 o'clock Friday night against Oklahoma. Specifically with that match, we understand during the day it's tough, but hopefully the 7 o'clock match on Friday night, football weekend, I think we're one of the only IU sports playing. We're hoping that's a huge night for fans. And then we're going to play Yale on Sunday. So, post-breakfast, brunch, church, all of the above. We hope people roll over at 1 o'clock, spend a couple hours with us on Sunday afternoon, and hopefully button up the weekend for a solid IU weekend. Hopefully football gets a win, we get a few wins, and everyone's feeling good.
You're serving mimosas, right?
It's my specialty, yeah, sure.
Good. Thank you a lot, Coach. I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Oh, man, appreciate you.